Hey there, I'm Jill Allen, and this is Find Your Fierce, the show designed to help you discover your inner strength and unlock an unstoppable mindset that will completely transform how you show up every day. Each week, I will share methods and strategies to inspire you to step into your greatness and live life with purpose. Join me on this journey to becoming fit, fierce, and unstoppable. Hey there, welcome to episode 197 of Find Your Fierce, where we're all about helping each other become the best version of ourselves. Last week, we kicked off a new series called Wellness Unplugged, and I hope you've started incorporating both the cardio and the strength training into your daily routine. It's all part of the journey to a healthier you. So if you missed it, be sure to go back and check that out. And today we're continuing with the series with episode 2, Breaking the Sugar Spell. Sugar addiction is real, guys. It's a real challenge, something many of us struggle with, and we're here to dig into how we can understand and overcome it. And to help us out with that sweet struggle, we have an incredible guest, Joann Wig. Joann is a certified CrossFit Level 2 coach, the owner of Outer Belt Athletics, and someone who's successfully broken free from sugar's grip. And so I want us to get ready for an inspiring and practical discussion on kicking sugar to the curb and living our best life, because I know that you too can conquer it. I know it's a cycle, but I know it's possible. So let's get started. Joann, how are you?
I'm good, Jill. How are you?
Good. I'm just really excited that you're here and have this candid conversation because I know so many people need help in this. I know I do daily. I know we all struggle with it. So I'm just glad you're here. Tell us, let's kind of take you back. I mean, share your personal journey with sugar addiction. What motivated you to make the change? Like we can start there.
First, thanks for asking me to collaborate with you. This is it's a great experience, and I'm looking forward to, wherever this takes us, right? So, back when I started my CrossFit training, my son was about 3 years old when I started as an athlete. And then, as far as CrossFit goes, fell completely in love with the methodology because it does work. We're trained to be better humans outside the gym, not necessarily humans that can lift heavy weights. And, you know, CrossFit has sort of a stigma around it that it's dangerous, and it's not. Your ego is. But as far as the nutrition aspect, for years I trained CrossFit and did not get my nutrition in check. Right, I was still working out, I was still eating whatever I wanted because we have this misconception in our own minds where we make. I guess we kind of give ourselves permission to just go ahead and eat that. You worked out, right? It's okay. It's all right. You earned your calories. It's not quite how it works, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, so you can't do an hour workout and then go eat, a Big Mac or frothy coffee or something like that, a dessert in a cup. So that's not how it works. And as far as I drank a lot of alcohol from the time my son was probably 5 years old, daily drinker, still holding a full-time job, working out.
Mhm.
And I was still doing it even after I became a trainer. One morning a couple of years ago, I woke up with a bloated face, feeling like crap, had to get up and go and teach a early morning 5 a.m. class, and I just didn't feel good. And I thought, you know what? I can't keep doing this to myself. I have to stop this, right? So I really started to dive into what was I using the alcohol for? Was I addicted to the alcohol or was it something else? And that following year, that following February, that was in November, that following February, as a gym, we did our first Whole 30 challenge.
Okay.
And part of Whole 30 is you can't have alcohol. That's one of the things that you're restricted from, right? And I quickly found that I wasn't addicted to the alcohol. It was the sugar, right? Because that's what alcohol is sugar. And the detox symptoms that my body went through for the first couple of weeks of that were excruciating. And at the end of that 30-day challenge, not only we could go into
Oh
big
yeah.
detail
There's
on
so many
how
directions with this. I know.
yes, on how successful that month was, but the biggest takeaway for me was you're addicted to the sugar. Even though I'm not really big into cookies and cakes, I don't crave those things, but the alcohol made me crave those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when I didn't have the alcohol, I was craving sweets. I don't now. And that leads us to, like the whole gut health thing, right? That's
Right.
coming down the road, and why that changes over time. But so at the end of the 30 days, my takeaway was, yeah, you're addicted to sugar. And if you can quit drinking for 30 days, you can quit drinking forever, because the first 30 days are the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
So so I overcame that, and that was that almost 3 years ago? And so I went from daily drinking to none, okay,
Wow.
overnight. Daily drinking to none overnight.
Yeah.
That was my win for that whole 30 challenge. Was I quit alcohol. I quit drinking. I was daily
Amazing.
drinking for
Mhm.
years and quit alcohol. Now, which led me to start really, really looking into the sugar aspect of, why is food so addicting? Why do we crave certain things? Why do we seek those things? And why do we allow it to control us? Because it can and it will.
Well, and I think
Um,
it does. We are addicted to something. I mean,
right.
hands down. I mean, whether it's the salt, I mean, we can go like the salt, the sweets, the sugar, the candies. I mean, addiction's real. It just comes in
Yeah.
the form of food. Yeah.
And sugar is by far the most addicting substance that exists. What exactly is sugar? Because does everybody really know exactly what sugar is? Because the sugar that we have access to now is completely different from the sugar that our ancestors used to have access to, right? It's refined, it's created to be more addicting in certain ways. The bag of refined sugar that you buy at the grocery store to bake something, that's not even sugar anymore. It's been refined so much and bleached and cooked that it's more or less a chemical than it is an actual sugar, right? Molecule. And there's so many different forms of sugar that exist, from the rawest cane sugar to the processed white sugar to the artificial stuff. And all of those things, every single one is classified as a sugar and modifies your blood sugar
Mm.
at some way or another, right? It is from the artificial standpoint. If somebody's a diabetic, they have this understanding or belief that they can eat something that says sugar free and it not do have any positive or negative on the blood sugar spike. That's not true. The
Yeah.
body doesn't know what to do with something that's artificial. So it actually turns that artificial sugar into sugar, and your blood sugar can still spike because of that.
How do we even know that we are addicted to it? Because if we're in, I mean, and I'm talking as like the United States, Americans as a
Hmm.
whole, I mean, we walk around, we don't realize that we're addicted to it. I mean, if you were drinking daily, you're like, well, I'm not addicted to the alcohol, but I am addicted to the sugar. I mean, how do we identify that, okay, maybe I am addicted to it? So I think that's something that we need to look at, because why do we want to constantly consume it? And I think about some of the things that I see. We've got pleasure,
Yeah.
reward. We know we have like this release of dopamine, really,
And
in
that's
our
what it
system.
does. It's a feel good,
It is.
chemical, just like a drug that does that to the body. There's a chemical reaction that occurs in the body when you consume something sweet.
Yep.
It,
Hands down, it creates this cycle of where, let's consume more. We want to eat more, the desire to eat, eat more sugar, candy, sweets, or whatever the type of where it's
but it's not
coming
but it's not just limited to, when we think of sugar, we think of candies and cakes
from.
and those kinds of things. But sugar is not just in those things, right? So
Our
you can
everyday
be
food.
somebody that says, okay, I'm going to cut out all of the baked goods. I'm not going to have any cookies anymore. I'm not going to have any cakes anymore. I'm not going to stop at Starbucks and get my fruit food drink anymore. I'm going to cut all of those things out. But I still haven't been able to lose weight. Well, that's because the packaged food, that's what it
Yeah.
is as well. It's processed sugar in different forms. It may not say, you know, sugar is the main additive, but when you're looking at, natural sugars in the form of fruits and vegetables, Those are natural sugars. If there's a food label that has a fruit or vegetable on it, it'll tell you what the sugar content is. That's because that's natural sugar. But in processed sugars, it's added sugars. So you have your sugars and plus your added sugars on your food label. So it's not just the cakes and the cookies and the candies that are addicting. It's all of it.
Right.
What do they say? Anything that comes from the center of the store, you don't want to buy that because it's not food anyway.
Right. Stay on
But
the outside for
stay
sure.
on the outside. But those are the labels that you have to look at. You have to look at the sugar content and the added sugar on the label in order to completely get a handle on the intake, on what you're putting in.
Let's talk a little bit about the labels. I mean, because, well, and we can go into our habits as well, but let's talk a little bit about the labels. I mean, because that's something that we could immediately do, to become aware of what it
Yeah,
is that we are putting in our body.
so many things, so many things. I mean, we are a society that is a immediate gratification. If
Yep.
there's something that you want, all you have to do is go out to get it or order it from Amazon, and it's immediately there, right? And as far as labels go, there are over 100 different names for sugar.
Mm.
Okay. And that
It'd be a
includes
wake-up
the
call for
natural.
someone.
Yeah. I wish that I could share this slide with you that I'm looking at. So, just different names for sugars that are artificial and or natural. Let's see. As far as like a label standpoint, we could, if you were looking at, you have agave nectar, you have dextrin, you have maltitol. I mean, these are all just different names that are in the place of sugar, right, on the label. So you could have a product that you pick up that says 6 grams of sugar, right? And sugar's listed as an ingredient. But then you look at the other part of it, it says added sugar. Well, that's because it has all of these other chemical names on that label that is adding to the sugar content in that particular product.
So in terms of, I mean, because people do want quick, they want the boxed
Right. Because it's
grab
convenient.
grab
Yeah.
and go, things like
Yeah.
that. So do you suggest people looking at the label or do we go for the natural fruit?
So I like to tell people that food shouldn't have a label. All right. If you pick up a sweet potato, that's the label
Right.
because that's what it is. That's the food, right? If we are reading labels on something, then you're not eating food, you're eating a food-like product, right? The actual food that exists within that product is probably next to nothing, right? If there are more than 3 to 5 ingredients. Personally, when I think of ingredients, I think of all of the things I need to put in my pot to make a soup,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Or a stew or something like that, not on a package. If you are shopping at the grocery store and you are reading labels, look for things that have less than 5 ingredients. That's going to be your best bet.
Yeah.
Starting there when you're shopping. Those things, yes, they're going to be more expensive. It costs more to eat better, which is unfortunate in today's climate. I mean, that's the real part of things, right? But yeah, 3 to 5 ingredients on a food package, nothing more than that. If there's anything more than that, it's not food. It's been modified to be more addicting for one. There is evidence out there. I saw one not long ago about some nutritionists going to Orange Grove
Oh.
and where they take the syringe, they take the orange juice out of the orange, and then they take that juice back to the lab to recreate orange juice in a lab. But we don't want it to just taste like orange juice, right? We have to make it sweeter. We have to make it more. One of the worst offenders is simply orange. I don't know how many people know that about that. It's supposed to just be orange juice. It's not orange juice. That's not what you're drinking from that container.
Yeah. That's scary. Like we need to keep this simple. It's like go eat food.
Just go eat food, right?
Fruits, the
Just the
vegetables,
food.
the lean meats.
Yeah.
I think the only really box stuff that we eat, as a family, I mean, oatmeal, like we get the
Hmm.
oats. I'm like just trying to think of things that, because my kids always joke, like they joke, but they're serious. Like, Mom, we're an ingredient household. Like we can't even, I'm like, I know, but we have all this stuff that we can make uh,
Right.
on our own. And because they want that quick, give me the bars, give me the
Yeah.
junk. What can I pack in my lunch? Like we have to make this. And I'm like, we are. And I am proud that we are an ingredient household that you actually
Yeah.
do a little bit extra to grab, but you can
It's
grab.
just it's a little bit of work. It's a little bit of work. And I too, think about sometimes, on a Friday evening, all of the things I want to take care of over the weekend, because that's when I spend most of my time meal prepping for the week. Then I overwhelm myself with, keep in mind that every single thing I want to do probably takes 10 minutes to do, but I'm thinking, oh, it's so overwhelming. So I can understand how, somebody that's not really sure where to get started or to, jumpstart their fitness, because fitness is not just going to the gym. Fitness has 80% of it has to do with what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
So it is overwhelming in the beginning to just get started and be like, okay, I don't even know what to buy, right? I've created grocery lists for people. I've given them, stay away from this, buy this, you it's starting with the labels is the first step, right? And just educating yourself as far as what I'm looking for. So I think, if somebody was going to be looking at sugar labels, I would encourage them. I would like you to go online, because if the internet is a good resource, if we're using it correctly, right? To learn those names, learn the names of all of the processed sugars. That way you have a better understanding of what you're looking for on a food label and know what to avoid, right? We like to use here in my house picking your poison,
Mm.
right? So we do have what we would call cheat meals, right?
Yeah.
And after spending all of the time that I have on improving my own health and healing my own gut, I can partake in those cheat meals without the negative consequences that used to occur. Okay. It is still a good reminder once I do that, okay, I'm not going to do that again for a while, right? Because there are still negative side effects that occur when you do choose those cheat meals if you eat clean most of the time. But I still want to live my life, right? Every once in a while, I still want to have an alcohol beverage, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't want to have a whole bottle of wine every single day, or I don't want to have, a bottle of whiskey a week. I still want to be able to partake in those things if I want to, not
Yeah.
because I have to or feel like I need to.
Because you're addicted
Yeah.
uh, for that. I mean, let's talk a little bit too. I mean, I want to hammer this home, and I think the why is always the important part of everything. I mean, yes, we can give action steps, but until there's something inside of you that wants to make that change, there's no information that is going, and but the why behind of what the sugar is doing to our body,
Hmm.
it's sabotaging lives.
Yeah.
And
Let's
it's
talk about that real
becoming,
quick. What
yeah.
what does sugar do to the body? I get
Well, I mean, the impact. I mean, it's just, you talk about the ups and downs of our glucose and
you I would encourage, and it's not very expensive to do. I mean, if you have a healthcare practitioner, if you don't, you can purchase one of these at uh, like Walgreens or something like that. The what is it called, AccuCheck or something like that, where you can test your A1C. I think to purchase one of them is like maybe it's $100, but it's not a throwaway thing. You can
right.
continue to check yourself, but go to your doctor or whoever your healthcare provider is, and just ask them to check your blood sugar, not just the blood sugar. You want to know what the A1C number is, right? Because that can give you a jump start for where do I go from here? Because even the healthiest, you can still, if you, the A1C, I think it looks at like over the last 3 months, your blood sugar and how it's trended over 3 months, and it'll give you a number. So even if the day before you have your A1C checked, you ate a cake, yes, your blood sugar is going to spike, but it's not going to affect the A1C as significantly as if you were eating the cake every day, right?
Right.
So getting that as a jump start for many people, knowing that diabetes is caused by sugar.
Mhm.
We have like maybe 10% of our genetics, we're already loaded, right? We have what we were born with, but it's going to take what you put in and on your body to trigger those things. So, you know, diabetes is caused from sugar. Heart disease is caused from sugar. Obesity is from sugar because you don't get fat from eating fat. You get fat from eating sugar because the body wants to hold on to those comfort things, right? It's like, oh, I like that. I'm going to hold on to that a little bit more because sugar feeds so many negative things, right? They say that sugar in the brain of a child is ADHD, while sugar in the brain of an elderly person is Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Now, if we would just bring those sugar levels down, would the Alzheimer's get better? ADHD does. Why wouldn't Alzheimer's get better if we brought those sugar levels down in an elderly person? Sugar in an adult, or now they're looking at, I don't know if you've seen the children that are being prescribed statins and Ozempic because you have obese children that are now put on these drugs. They're going to be on them for the rest of their life unless they make a lifestyle change. And at the end of the day, that's what it is it's a lifestyle change that we have to make in order to pursue. If you want a better life, you have to make that change.
Yeah, I think, that there is that cycle of okay, so we consume the sugar, it tastes good, whether it's a habit, it's our environment. I mean, birthday celebrations, everything is around, whether it's out, I mean, the foods, everyday foods is even loaded
Uh-huh.
with some sort of processed, refined, sugared, like it's just the everyday foods. We find comfort in that, the habits in that, the environment where it makes us feel good. We have this up and down cycle. We eat more of it. Our body craves more of it. And so we go through that. We get the glucose spike, right? What do we do? Like, oh, you're hungry,
Yep.
go get some
Oh,
sugar,
we're
right? Like,
frozen here.
and so what happens to our glucose? Then our insulin rises, and then with our constant insulin, right? That blocks our fat, right? Or that like the burning of our fat, and then so it's stored, and so we gain the weight, and then so when we have that chronic insulin spike, that's where all these health issues,
Metabolic disorders. Yeah.
yes,
So,
it impacts
so
everything.
as far as the like where the addiction comes in and where the immune function and the metabolic disorders, so about 70% of our immune system is located in our gut.
Oh, that
Okay.
is the command center.
It is, it's the command center. So we have our thinking brain, right? But the gut is responsible just as much as the thinking brain is.
Mhm.
So our immune cells in the gut, it will interact with our microbiome, right? That's what exists within the gut. And when you consume those things and where that addiction comes from, that's because your gut microbiome is so out of whack that it creates different kinds of chemicals, and you're craving. That's where those cravings come from because of the chemicals that are created, or that feel good, that dopamine, the serotonin. you know when we disrupt the microbiome with all of the sugar content, that just makes us crave it more because we don't want to feel bad, right? Nobody wants to feel bad. And like you said, going to the more your blood sugar spikes, that's where the metabolic disorders come into play. And metabolic disorders such as diabetes, heart disease, let's see, well, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, excess body fat around the waist, abnormal cholesterol. So, we could go into huge detail on like the cholesterol part of it, right? So, cholesterol, like cortisol, these are all hormones, right, that the
Hormones.
body produces. So, cholesterol is a hormone similar to, it's kind of like a band-aid for our body, right? It's produced and secreted by the liver. And if your blood sugar is super high all the time, well, your cholesterol is going to creep up. Why is your cholesterol going to creep up? Because your liver is saying, hey, we need to send this hormone to help fix and counteract, the processed food or the sugar that's going into the body where it's trying to heal you. So basically, the cholesterol is like a band-aid inside the body that's trying to do all of this work, right? So when you have these metabolic disorders, And the doctor says, hey, we need to put you on, you have abnormal cholesterol, your cholesterol's super high. They're not addressing the fact that you might be eating all of these nasty foods causing the cholesterol to go up, because you don't get high cholesterol from eating cholesterol, right? You get high cholesterol from eating junk. So then, people are told, well, we need to go on a statin. Well, a statin will lower your cholesterol, but guess what else it does? It causes your blood sugar to spike. So then I know of two people that have recently, within the last 2 years, have started taking statins, caused their A1C numbers to go through the roof. And the doctors were like, well, now you're a diabetic and now we need to put you on. And they've been suggested, we know the big O word, right? Let's
Yeah.
go on this medicine and to help bring down those numbers. One person in particular was not an overweight person, right? The type 2 diabetes that was brought on because of the other drug that they were placed on. So I think the takeaway for me and the teaching moment for this person was, well, I just need to get my nutrition in check, right? I don't need this stuff. I was healthy before I started taking this stuff. So if I just stop taking this stuff and eat better, I'm going to get better again. Let's see, 1/3 of adults have a metabolic syndrome. Did you know that? 1/3.
I didn't know that. No. I mean, I know it's rising. I mean, that's high.
Yeah,
High.
because sugar is the leading cause of obesity.
Yeah. And I believe
Some
it.
of the,
I mean, our food is loaded with it.
it
I mean,
is.
I always I don't even joke. I mean, but just when you travel, I know exactly when I land right back into America.
The modern American diet.
Yeah, and it's so sad because as humans, there's so much that we are meant to do and be, and we're falling short when it comes to our nutrition. And I just really want people to take a moment to assess, one, where we currently are. How is our health? Let's get real, let's be honest, and be willing to live in a different way. When you don't eat sugar or you don't drink alcohol, the question is, oh, why? We're celebrating, it's our birthday, or, whatever it is. And on the outside,
Yeah.
when you eat healthy, and it's just, I don't know, I just want that to be flipped and reversed, and people get fired up for taking charge of their health, because I know we don't feel good.
Yeah.
I know we do not feel good when we're overweight, tired, sluggish, the up and down spikes, and then obviously the lifelong diseases that
But
is caused by our nutrition.
right. And something as simple as, well, I guess it's not super simple, but thinking about, so when you consume sugar and you do it regularly, the gut bacteria that exists, there's cells that exist in the gut that help with absorption, right?
Mhm.
And you have your bad lipids, your good lipids. When that microbiome is thrown off by the sugar intake, not only does it disrupt your feel good feelings, right? So you have your mental health declines. You think about, I'm putting crap in, I have crap thoughts, right? You don't, that's caused directly from the intake. But when you keep your gut healthy, your body has better chances of absorbing the lipids, the healthy fats that exist in the foods that you're eating. Because if we sugar is a contributor to, and we can get to that when we get down the road to more in depth into gut health, but sugar, along with some other things, it contribute to leaky gut. And if you have leaky gut, then your body's not absorbing the things that you're supposed to be absorbing. And this is where disease comes in. If you're constantly leaking contents that should be the bacteria that should exist in the gut alone, and it's leaking into the rest of the body, where do you think diseases are coming from, like cancers? And guess what feeds cancer? Sugar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we want our cells to be responsive, and to break that. I mean, we want that loop to be complete, and when our insulin is jacked up because our body's producing so much and trying to fight, I mean, terms of managing blood sugar, the insulin resistance, the metabolic issues that you're talking about are perimenopause, menopause, all of that goes back to,
What are you putting in your body?
and when our insulin is jacked up, it impacts everything. It
Every
blocks
system.
Yeah.
Every system in your body is impacted by what you're intaking. You know, I it's it I have so much to
Seriously.
say. I have
I
so
know.
much to say.
I know. Because we know
I,
it can be, we know it can be reversed,
yeah,
and people can start doing that something to help reverse that. Even if you're not diagnosed with pre-diabetic or diabetes or heart disease right now, that's a good thing. We can start right now
and reverse those things
and
because I think
reverse.
some have this misconception that the first sign of disease is not the diagnosis that you get from your physician. When they say, hey, your A1C numbers are, 11, that's pretty high. Anything over anything over 6,
Yeah,
is detrimental to your health. And so that's not, your diabetes diagnosis or your heart disease diagnosis or, your COPD diagnosis or whatever diagnosis that you may get down the road, that didn't start then. That started in your 20s or your early 30s when you were consuming the things that you were consuming, going through the drive-throughs and getting whatever fast food or buying those packaged meals. Those are when those diseases started. Your food choices, from the start of those food choices till the day that you receive those diagnoses, you've been sick all of this time. The body just finally said, hey, I've done all I can do to keep you functioning at a normal, healthy way, and I can't do it anymore. So I'm asking for your help. Those are when you receive those diagnoses, that's your body saying, help me.
right.
I'm doing all I can do to keep you healthy, but you're not doing all that you can do to keep me healthy. So, now changing your nutrition is what you're going to have to do. And that's all the body is trying to tell people. You know, you don't feel good because of the crap that you're doing to your body. Stop doing that to your body. The body, if you listen to your body, it'll tell you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to fire a couple questions at you here to kind of wrap
Mhm.
this up and see. So, what techniques or what strategies have you found to be most effective for overcoming sugar addiction? Real quick.
Personally,
Yeah.
personally, out of sight, out of mind, first of all. I just don't purchase it. So as far as the alcohol goes, I have a liquor cabinet. I
Mhm.
just choose to not participate in it,
Yeah.
right? Um, uh, Not letting that control me, and I control me. God controls me, right? My faith has a lot to do
Versus the
with it.
sugar controlling you. Yeah.
Yes,
Versus the food.
yes.
Yeah.
I believe we were given one body, and our body is our church, right? Our body is our temple, and we should treat it as such. You wouldn't walk into, if you're a religious person or, if you go to church, you wouldn't walk into your church and just crap all over the place, would you? Don't do that to your body. Your body's your temple, your body's your church. So treat it like you would treat your church.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What are three practical tips for someone who's listening here to help them reduce their sugar intake without feeling deprived or overwhelmed? And here's the thing, I think you are going to feel deprived when you first start.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're going to think, what
It's
am I doing? But what are some tips? Three tips, real boom.
First of all, just educating yourself on the labels, right? Knowing what those words mean. It can be overwhelming. There are so many different names for what sugar is, but just know that if it says sugar free, that means the real stuff has been removed and replaced with a chemical that's going to do more detriment to your body than the natural
Natural
sugar,
sugar.
right?
Yep.
Right. So, first thing I would avoid or tell people to avoid is avoid all artificial sweeteners, all of them,
Mhm.
because our bodies don't know what to do with artificial things. And it eventually, metabolically, the body will turn it back into sugar anyway in order to process it. So, avoid all things that say sugar free. That's the first thing. Second is just reading those labels and looking at the sugars. So let's see, what is the FDA? So the recommended daily allowance of sugar every single day for a man is 36 grams of sugar. That's 9 teaspoons. That's not a lot of sugar. That's your recommended daily allowance. For a female, it's even less than that. Now, we can go into explicit detail as to why that is, but it has to do with metabolically and how we process. But 25 grams of sugar, 6 teaspoons. That's significantly less than what a man can do, but that's because of that's metabolism, right? How do they process? So, you know,
Tell them,
things
is
that
that
you
added sugar? Tell like
no,
that is
no,
just sugar.
that's just sugar. That's your
Ah,
recommended daily allowance. Now, I encourage every single person to pull that label up from their Starbucks drink that they got,
oh,
first thing in the morning and read how much sugar is in that, You just drank a week's worth of sugar or
yep.
2 weeks worth of sugar in that one drink.
We wonder why
Um,
it's not
and
good.
you want, yeah, foods that you may not think of as sweet can contain a lot of sugar or sugar alternatives, and that includes salad dressings, pasta sauce, cheese, crackers, any packaged food for that matter. But those condiments are a big one. I don't know who doesn't love ketchup. Ketchup is, if you can make it yourself, make it yourself. I've been making our own ketchup. If I don't make my own ketchup, I try to buy as organic or as clean as possible with as little sugar. But those starting there, limiting your packaged foods, food labeled as low calorie, no calorie, low sugar, no added sugar, or no sugar added could be a warning that they all contain artificial sugars. So learning those labels. And to be honest with you, Jill, today's food labels, I mean, they really,
Oh, they're
oh, don't
branded.
even get,
They're
they're
branded.
what?
They're branded perfectly to hook, line,
Yes,
and sinker. Like this is great. No sugar, sugar free, fat free,
they're a marketing
organic.
ploy.
Oh
They're
yeah, they're good.
labels are a marketing ploy, and at the end, they really, I don't want to say they don't mean anything because they do still mean something, but there are certain things on a food label that is just the minimally required
Yeah,
thing that is for that company to be able to sell whatever it is that they're selling. But yeah, that would be cutting back. That would be my advice. Start by limiting packaged foods, or anything that's labeled as low calorie, no calorie, low sugar, no added sugar, because those all contain something that's an alternative to sugar.
it's
And
good.
then limiting your condiments, right? Trying to buy cleaner condiments. There are a few good brands still left out there that have little to, things that are sweetened with like honey or maple syrup. Our bodies process those sugars much differently than they do refined sugar. Trying to steer away from the refined sugar. The whiter it is, the more refined it is. There are still things that, coconut sugar is a good alternative. It's still processed though. Raw honey and maple syrup are your best bets. Stevia is still processed. Monk fruit is still processed. So, while there are healthier, that's the thing. Like you have healthy and you have unhealthy, but then you have the term healthier. As far as alternatives go, coconut sugar, stevia, monk fruit, they're healthier
Option,
alternatives,
right.
but they're not healthy options. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
Blackstrap molasses. I love molasses. Do you like molasses?
some like I mean I like the, ginger
Yeah.
snap. But yeah, yeah. Molasses is good. I think sometimes we focus so much on what we can't have, but then we
Hmm.
really don't even follow that. I mean, there's so many things that we can have. I mean, it's simple. I mean, it's your spices are your
Yeah.
best friend. I say this to my clients all the time. Like the spices are your best friends. Your lean meat, your fruits, your veggies, that all that stuff that you can eat so much more even
Right.
with that. It's not that you're, deprived. Oh, I tell you what, and we'll wrap this up because I know we can talk all day and I know you got a class to teach. But when we were in Costa Rica for a mission trip, I mean, they are one of the blue zones. The location that we were at were one of the blue zones. And so they have a high number of people that live in their hundreds. And
100s. Yeah.
it was amazing that not to mention that you have the elderly, they just walked everywhere you went. But let me talk to you about the nutrition. We were fed absolutely amazing by the people that were hosting us, and our desserts, okay, and Americans love their desserts, okay, and they had them, and I tell you what, they were so good. They were having the pumpkin dessert was a sweet potato.
Yeah,
And this is the difference of all that. And we were eating it. Oh, it was so, so good. It's just that we have to be willing, like, to look at things in a different way. We had chia pudding that was heated. And I mean, it was just,
that's so good.
it was. And it just like, oh my goodness, no wonder they're
No
living.
wonder they live as long as they do, right?
Yes. And it's not that they were not deprived. I mean,
Right.
we were not deprived. I mean, we had the little sweetness. I mean, it was pumpkin seasoning, nutmeg, and a sweet potato baked. And it was just good. So I think it's in our head.
It
I,
is. It truly is. I
once
think,
we get past the sugar addiction, but
yeah,
we can control
we've
it.
been made to believe that as a society, in order to be happy, then we have to indulge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you have to have this quick fix, and you have to have, that's just why is cake and ice cream and crappy food around fun? Why, and alcohol? Why do we have to? You can have fun, and you can, I'm not deprived. I love my life.
Yeah.
I love waking up every
So
single day
great.
knowing I feel amazing.
And that's
Yeah, I
why
mean,
you love it because yeah, you're
trying
really,
to trying to explain that to others, that there is an alternative
yeah,
to feeling the way that you feel. You can feel fantastic. Now, I don't want to say that I feel good every single day, because who feels good every single day, right?
yeah,
Because we're all human, and we have stress, and some days, like I told you before we started, I want to drown myself in nacho cheese
yeah,
sauce, right? Who doesn't have days like that? We all do, but it's mind over matter, right? And being stronger than your excuses, and don't let that control you. You control you. God controls you. He gave you that body, this body, to do the best you can with. And personally, if that helps me inspire somebody else, then that's my purpose. I've done my due diligence as a human being to spread that word, and to show people that they're I'm happy. There is an alternative to feeling the way that you do.
yeah. There's just a different way, and that we can definitely reverse the aging process and
Absolutely.
some of the ailments that we have been diagnosed with. I can't thank you enough for being here. Just thank you for pouring in to the listeners and educating, and I can't wait to have you back.
I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a good collaboration, so I appreciate the time that you've taken this morning and had me on here.
Absolutely. I just have to say that we are not physicians, doctors, nutritionists, or dietitians, just two dedicated health and fitness coaches who have spent years researching and understanding the impact of sugar addiction. And our goal today was to shed light on this issue, raise awareness that it can be overcome, and inspire you to make those crucial changes in your nutrition. We believe that by conquering sugar addiction, you can unlock the path to a healthier, more fulfilling life. And so that's all for today's episode on breaking free from sugar addiction. And if you're ready to take control of your health and balance your blood sugar levels and support your hormones, be sure to check out the 5-day reset and our new GLP-1 enhancer. I've partnered with Modere for the past 5 years now, and I'm genuinely obsessed with their clean, game-changing products. I'd love to help you get started on this journey. Just head over to modere.com and use the code FIT and FIERCE to grab your savings and enjoy free shipping. If you have any questions or need more guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help you break through and achieve your health goals. And I've got to say, if you haven't already, check out my book, Set Free and Set Fire. They're available on Amazon. Make sure to tune in next time as we add some serious fire to your day. More Unplugged Wellness is coming. Joann is back next time, and we'll dive into the topic of gut health and explore how our diet impacts our overall health and how to heal our gut. You won't want to miss it. If you've enjoyed today's episode, subscribe to Fit and Fierce to never miss an episode. Leave a review and follow us on social media at Hike, Live, Explore for more wellness tips and updates. I would love it if you could share this episode with friends and family who might benefit from a fitness boost. Thanks so much for being here. Until next time, remember to be fit, be fierce, be unstoppable. See ya.